Your last name is not just what people call you. It's a trade your ancestors practiced with their hands for centuries before they ever stepped foot in America. 46 million Americans carry German blood, more than any other ancestry in this country. And most of them have no idea their surname is a job description written in a language their great-grandparents tried to forget. Schmidt, Miller, Fischer, Weber. These aren't just names. They're occupations that kept families alive through wars, famines, and the brutal crossing of the Atlantic. Today I'm decoding 10 German surnames from number 10 down to number 1. The surname so common in America, you'd never guess it's a direct German translation. And at the end, I'll show you how to decode your own. These surnames weren't chosen, they were earned. In medieval Germany, your occupation was your identity, and your children inherited both the trade and the name. A Schmidt didn't just work metal, his sons learned to work metal, and their sons after them. When 5 million Germans left for America between 1840 and 1920, they carried those names across the ocean like tools in a trunk. Some kept them, some anglicized them, some abandoned them entirely during the anti-German hysteria of World War I. But the names remember what the families wanted to forget. Number 10, Bäcker, from the Middle High German Bäcker, baker, not just someone who made bread. In medieval Germany, bakers were part of one of the most powerful guilds because bread was survival. A famine meant the Bäcker family controlled who ate and who starved. By 1850, thousands of Bäckers had left for America, settling heavily in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Texas. If your last name is Bäcker, your ancestors didn't just feed people, they held power over hunger itself. And the next surname on this list took that power even further. Number 9, Koch. Pronounced Koch in German, though most Americans say Coach. From Koch, cook. But this wasn't a home cook. This was the chef in a noble household, the one who knew which mushrooms were poison and which cuts of meat went to the Lord's table. Koch served in castles, and that service came with status. When the Koch family emigrated, many anglicized it to cook, erasing the German connection entirely. But the bloodline didn't change. If you're a cook and your family came through Ellis Island, there's a strong chance your real name was Koch. Number 8, Zimmermann, from Zimmer, room, and Mann, man, carpenter. But not just any carpenter. The Zimmermann built the frame of the house, the skeleton that held everything together. In a world built from wood, the Zimmermann was the architect of shelter. This surname is so common in Germany that it's like Smith in English. And just like Smith, thousands of Zimmermanns shortened it to Zimmer when they arrived in America, or dropped the second N to look less German. If your name is Carpenter and your grandparents were German, your original surname was probably Zimmermann. The next name hides an even older craft. Number 7, Weber. From weben, to weave. The Weber was a weaver, and in medieval Germany, weaving was one of the most essential trades. Cloth meant clothing, blankets, sails, currency. The Weber family worked looms from dawn until their fingers bled, producing fabric that dressed entire villages. When industrialization came, many Webers lost their craft to machines and emigrated to America searching for work. Some became weavers, others kept Weber but pronounced it Weber instead of Weber. If you carry this name, your ancestors spent their lives turning thread into survival. Number 6, Wagner. From wagon, and the maker suffix. The Wagner built wagons and carts, the vehicles that moved trade across medieval Europe. Without the Wagner, commerce stopped. Goods rotted in warehouses. Armies couldn't move supplies. This was a trade that required skill with wood, metal, and engineering. The Wagner had to understand weight distribution, axle strength, wheel construction. When they came to America, many Wagners became wheelwrights, blacksmiths, and later, automotive mechanics. If your last name is Wagner, your ancestors built the machines that moved the world before engines existed. Number 5, Fischer. From fish. The fisher was a fisherman, but more than that, he was the provider of protein in a Catholic medieval world where meat was forbidden on Fridays and during Lent. The fisher fed entire towns when hunting failed and crops rotted. This surname is most common in regions near rivers, the Rhine, the Danube, the Elbe. When fishers emigrated to America, many settled near the Great Lakes or along the Mississippi, returning to the water their ancestors had worked for centuries. If your name is Fischer and your roots are German, your bloodline is tied to rivers older than any border. Number 4. Schneider. From schneiden, to cut. The Schneider was a tailor, and in a world where clothing was handmade and expensive, the tailor was essential. The Schneider measured, cut, and stitched every garment a family owned. Wealth was visible in the quality of the cut, and the Schneider's skill determined social standing. When Schneiders came to America, many anglicized to tailor or Schneider. Others kept Schneider but faced suspicion during World War I when German names became dangerous. If you're a tailor or Schneider with German roots, your ancestors dressed entire communities with their hands. But the next surname carries something heavier than cloth. Number 3. Hofmann. From Hof, court or farm, and Mann, man. The Hofmann was a steward, a manager of a noble estate or a large farm. This wasn't manual labor. This was administration, logistics, accounting. The Hofmann decided which crops to plant, which animals to breed, which tenants paid rent. They were the intermediaries between lords and peasants, and that position gave them education and influence. When Hofmanns emigrated, many became merchants, accountants, and clerks in America. Some dropped the second N to become Hoffman. If you carry this name, your ancestors were managers before management was a profession. Number 2. Schmidt, the second most common surname in Germany, from Schmied, smith. The Schmidt was a blacksmith, a metalworker who shaped iron into tools, weapons, hinges, nails, horseshoes. In medieval Germany, the Schmidt was as essential as the Müller, the other surname we'll get to. Every village needed a Schmidt because metal meant survival. Without iron, plows broke, weapons failed, horses went lame. The Schmidt held the fire and the hammer, and that gave him power. When Schmidts came to America, tens of thousands anglicized to Smith, becoming invisible in the most common surname in the English-speaking world. If your last name is Smith and your family came from Germany, you're not English, you're Schmidt. Before we get to number 1, this video exists because surnames are not just names. They're codes, and if decoding your own surname fascinates you, subscribe. Every week I decode 10 surnames from a new region, and next week might be the one where yours appears. Now, the surname that will shock you. Number 1. Müller, the most common surname in Germany, Switzerland, and Austria, from Mühle, mill. The Müller was a miller, and in medieval Europe, the miller controlled the grain. Every farmer had to bring their wheat, rye, or barley to the mill to be ground into flour, and the Müller took a portion as payment. This wasn't just a trade, it was a monopoly enforced by law. Lords granted milling rights to one family per region, and that family became wealthy and powerful. The Müller decided who ate bread and who went hungry. When the Müllers emigrated to America, many anglicized the name to Miller. Today, Miller is the 7th most common surname in the United States. Think about that. The 7th most common American name is a direct German translation that most people assume is English. Here's what most Millers don't know. The umlaut in Müller, those 2 dots over the U, changes the pronunciation completely. In German, Müller sounds like Müller, not Miller. When immigration officials at Ellis Island couldn't type umlauts, they dropped them, and the pronunciation shifted. The name became American, but the origin didn't. If your last name is Miller, and your ancestors came through Ellis Island, Hamburg, or Bremen, you are not English. You are Miller. Your bloodline controlled the grain supply of medieval villages, and that power is written in your name whether you know it or not. The Müller family didn't just grind grain, they controlled access to food. In a bad harvest, the Müller decided the order in which grain was milled. In a famine, the Müller's family ate while others starved. This created resentment, which is why millers in folklore are often portrayed as greedy or dishonest. But the power was real. The mill was the economic heart of the village, and the miller sat at its center. When German unification and industrialization destroyed the small village mills in the 19th century, the Miller families lost their monopoly, and many emigrated. They came to America, changed their name to Miller, and became invisible in the American melting pot. But the bloodline remembers. Today, there are over 1 million people with the surname Miller in the United States. Most assume it's English. Most have no idea their surname comes from the German Müller. And most don't know that their ancestors held a government-granted monopoly on the most essential resource in medieval life, the ability to turn grain into bread. If your name is Miller, your surname is not a generic occupational name. It's a title that once came with land, wealth, and the power to control hunger. That power crossed the Atlantic in steerage, survived Ellis Island, and hides in plain sight in the phone book. Your surname is not just a label, it's a thread that connects you to people who made grain into bread, metal into tools, thread into cloth, and survival into a trade. These German surnames crossed an ocean not because life was easy in America, but because staying in Germany had become impossible. Famine, industrialization, political upheaval, and 2 world wars shattered the old guild system, and the names that once meant power became relics. But they survived, they adapted, they anglicized, and they carried forward a history that most bearers don't even know they possess. Your surname remembers what your family forgot. So here's my question for you. Drop your surname in the comments and I'll tell you what trait it hides. Because whether your name is Miller, Schmidt, Zimmerman, Fisher, or something I haven't covered yet, your bloodline carries a craft, a region, and a story. And most people will never know theirs unless someone decodes it for them. That's what this channel does. If your surname didn't appear in this video, it might be number 1 in the next. Subscribe and you'll find out.